Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're skipping the sugar-coated motivation. Those fleeting, temporary fixes for people who just want to hear comforting words. Instead, we're diving straight into a raw, unfiltered look at human fear based on our source material. We're going to help you pinpoint and completely destroy this little glitch hiding deep in your DNA. We'll uncover exactly how your own mind is tricking you into playing small, and more importantly, how to systematically break free. Frozen feet? Dry throat? Heart racing like it's literally going to burst right out of your chest? You desperately want to speak or act or just move, but the words won't come and your legs feel like lead. We've all been there, right? We've all felt those visceral, overwhelming physical symptoms of panic. It's universally paralyzing. Most of us just slap the label fear on it and accept it as a hard truth. But what if I told you this crippling emotion isn't even real? Seriously, what you're actually experiencing in those terrifying moments is an invisible prison. Your own brain is acting as your absolute worst enemy, actively trapping you in a cage where the door, get this, is sitting wide open the entire time. It's a total illusion. Your mind is tricking you into holding back your true potential, keeping you locked up out of some misplaced sense of safety. So today we're dismantling the bars of that cage one by one and walking right out. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the ancient biological glitch. Here, we're going to strip away the psychology for a second and diagnose the raw biological root of our problem. You gotta understand, humans were basically designed to be afraid. We are the descendants of the anxious. Thousands of years ago, if the grass rustled, your ancestors didn't casually stick around to see if it was just the breeze. If they didn't bolt immediately, they became a lion's lunch. Back in that world of raw survival, fear wasn't a bad thing. It was your ultimate bodyguard. It kept you alive. But look at our modern reality. Today, there are no saber-toothed tigers hiding in the bushes. Today, wrestling grass is just walking up to someone at a networking event or speaking on a stage or finally hitting launch on that business idea. But because of this ancient programming, when you step onto that stage, your body severely overreacts. You get the sweaty palms, the racing heartbeat. Your vision might even start going dark around the edges. It feels like impending doom. And why? Because your ancient brain literally cannot tell the difference between public speaking and a hungry predator. It genuinely convinces you that if you stutter, you're going to die. It's a biological glitch. You are essentially running deeply outdated software in a brand new, incredibly safe modern world. Society loves to feed us this poetic line that victory is beyond fear. But our source material points out that this romanticized view is, well, kind of nonsense. Fear is just a signal. It's a manipulation of your genetics. The source argues we need to view it as a chemical defect. Because as long as you treat fear like some deeply meaningful emotion you need to obey, you're going to stay its slave. But the very second you see it for what it is, a misfiring circuit, a glitch in the system, that's the exact day you become the master and take your power back. Moving right along to Section 2, the spotlight effect revealed. This is where we look at our social anxieties through the unflinching lens of dark psychology. The ultimate question, what will people say? It haunts almost all of us, right? It keeps us up at night and stops our ambitions dead in their tracks. It's driven by this profound delusion that the moment you walk into a room, every single pair of eyes locks onto you. We secretly convince ourselves that everyone is just waiting, holding their breath, for us to stumble so they can point and laugh. Now, psychology formally calls this the spotlight effect. It's the persistent, false belief that you're being noticed and judged by others way, way more than you actually are. We naturally put ourselves right at the center of the universe. But the dark truth behind this phenomenon? Well, it's a pretty bitter pill to swallow, especially for our pride. Here's that bitter truth the source lays out. Your fear is just your ego. You are not that important. I know, it sounds incredibly harsh, but actually it's deeply liberating once you let it sink in. People are so utterly consumed by their own chaotic, dramatic, messy lives that they simply do not have the time, bandwidth, or energy to care about your mistakes. Your brain is drastically inflating your social importance to protect you from rejection, but frankly, it's a massive lie. Just look at the concept of social embarrassment decay. Imagine slipping on a banana peel or tripping over a chair at a crowded wedding. Minute 1, you fall, and yeah, people laugh. In that instant, it feels like the end of the world, right? Total humiliation. But jump to minute 10, the laughter's done, people have stopped talking about it. And by minute 20, Everyone has completely forgotten you exist. They've gone right back to stressing over their own finances, their own relationships, their own insecurities. People care for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, max. After that tiny window, your massive failure means absolutely nothing to them. So if people aren't actually obsessing over us and our present environment is actually pretty safe, what's destroying us from the inside out? Let's figure that out in Section 3, Fear of the Imagined Future. The reality is, we rarely fear the present moment. What we truly fear is the imagined future. Think about it. You aren't panicking right now while watching this explainer, right? You're probably sitting comfortably. The suffocating panic only sets in later when you start vividly imagining future scenarios. What if I bomb that interview? What if I fail that exam and ruin my entire life? We humans drive ourselves absolutely crazy over catastrophic events that haven't even happened yet, and honestly probably never will. Your mind's ability to simulate the future is actively robbing you of your happiness today. And this constant, heavy burden of future tripping takes a very real physical toll on your body. The sheer weight of imaginary stress, the cortisol constantly flooding your system over fake scenarios, can literally steal years from your life. The source emphasizes a pretty stark reality. You could lose a full year of your lifespan, entirely due to the wear and tear of agonizing over stuff your brain just made up. You are paying a real biological price for completely fictional threats. Crazy, right? Okay, so we've diagnosed the ancient glitch, we've exposed the illusion of the ego, and we know the dangers of imaginary stress. Now we need the cure. That brings us to Section 4, Action Without Overthinking. Let's look at how to bypass this fear once and for all. Your absolute worst enemy here is just one single minute of overthinking. It really happens that fast. If you give your outdated brain even 60 seconds to just sit there and think before getting on a stage or doing something scary, it'll expertly manufacture 100 completely logical-sounding excuses to freeze you in your tracks. Thinking, in these moments of friction, is the ultimate breeding ground for that biological glitch to take over. So how do we bypass it? The source lays out 3 aggressive, zero-hesitation steps. First, identify the fear. Call out the glitch for what it is. Second, stop your thinking process entirely. Just cut the thought loop off. And third, act immediately. Speed is literally your only weapon here. Like, if you're terrified of taking a cold shower, don't stand on the mat dreading the freezing water. Throw your clothes off and jump straight in before your mind even has a half second to complain. You have to actively deny your brain the chance to overthink. Because let's look at the actual reality of taking that action. Say you get on stage, forget all your words, and completely bomb. The absolute worst thing that happens? People laugh. That's it. It might sting your ego a bit, but zero physical harm comes to you. There is no lion waiting to pounce. You go home perfectly safe. And most importantly, taking action permanently destroys the fear. By doing the thing you were terrified of, you shatter the illusion. You physically prove to your glitchy brain that it was wrong, essentially forcing it to update its software. Look, fear is universal. Everyone's throat dries up, everyone's heart races. No amount of success makes you immune to human biology. But victory consistently belongs to those who actively bypass the glitch. So I'm going to leave you with this final question. Are you going to stay a slave to an outdated piece of biological software and let it quietly ruin your potential? Or are you going to fight back, refuse to overthink, and take bold action today? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.